glutamate might be hiding. And sometimes it doesn't hide at all. Like here's, I looked this up actually yesterday on the website for Hidden Valley Ranch dressing. And this is the, the original dressing. This is not the fat-free version or anything, but you see the monosodium glutamate is right there in the ingredient list. It's not even hiding at all. And then you see all of these other things in here. The one thing that you tend to sometimes see on an ingredient list is the less than 2% of or less than 1% of. Like this one says, it's got all the big ingredients. It's got the soybean oil, soybean and or canola. You might see that oftentimes because it really depends on the market price, and the manufacturer doesn't want to have to be committed to just one or the other. They want to have the flexibility of either using soybean oil or using canola oil in the product. And so they just put both of the names on the list, and then that way they're covered, so they don't have to keep changing their label. But they do that so that, because, one day the soybean oil might be cheaper than the canola, and so they're going to go buy the soybean and vice versa. But you see the bulk of the ingredients is first. And by the way, when you read an ingredient list, the first ingredient is going to be the one that has the most weight in the entire recipe. So whatever weighs the most, so it looks like, for this one, the vegetable oil, whether it's soybean or canola, is what weighs the most in that recipe. And then the next ingredient is the water. And then you see the third ingredient is sugar. When I was first going sugar and flour free, I went by the rule of if sugar is in the first 5 ingredients, then I shouldn't eat it because it's got, a higher amount of sugar in it than what I would be comfortable with eating. So if I see sugar in the number 3 position on something, then that tells me that there's more sugar in there. Even though down here it says there's only 1 gram of sugar, that 1 gram is added. It says it's 1 gram of added sugar. So there's no naturally occurring sugar in this. It's all something that was just added in. And you see all these other little ingredients here, phosphoric acid and modified food starch, artificial flavors, disodium phosphate, sorbic acid, calcium disodium, EDTA added to preserve freshness. These are all just chemicals in here. If you were to make your own ranch dressing at home, you wouldn't use any of these things. You'd probably use the oil and the egg and the buttermilk and some fresh herbs. And that would be all you would need. So, anytime we leave our food preparation to the food companies, we're always going to be getting ingredients that are going to be our slow poison. So when I changed my diet and then I started writing and educating on the state of the food supply and then how to make a transition into healthier food choices, I came up with my own little term called processed free. I said, well, it's kind of like sugar-free or fat-free, only, this is referring to an entire category of food, processed food. So we're going to go processed free. And then I formed a nonprofit organization that's called Processed Free America, which our mission is to educate people on the health effects of processed foods and the healing power of whole foods. But so really, what we're looking at is, the main premise of process-free eating is just eating foods in their closest to natural form as possible. So what I mean by that is, so eat an apple instead of a fruit roll-up. Eat a baked potato instead of a French fry. So, we're trying to get to what our not so distant ancestors were eating. And hopefully be able to do that as much as we can. I always say we could do this with a modern twist. Like, I'm not opposed to buying things that are pre-prepared as long as the ingredients are real, and it doesn't have all of those extra things in there. And I'm really a big proponent of, you know, buying salads that are already washed and, you know, that I don't have to cut. You know, that's why I say with a modern twist, I'm okay with doing things like that. So that's why we can do this in our normal everyday, you know, way of living. We don't have to go completely back to caveman days and try to eat, you know, and live that way. That would be too difficult. I don't think we could do it.